Hi everyone, welcome back to Smart Contract Labs. So in today's lecture, we are going to work on real estate system and let's see what are the different functions we can provide in this system using Solidity language, right? So what is real estate system? So real estate system helps the users or the brokers to list their properties and sell their properties and transfer the ownership to the verified users and can list the properties with different attributes like who is the owner of that property, location, what is the property type, and so on. So here we will design a smart contract based on real estate ownership system, and in which we will provide the different functions like first one is your verify users. So only the verified users can list the properties so that it will remove the fake properties on the system, right? And next is list property. So only the verify users can list the properties by using this list property function. So this is the one. And then next one is your verify property. And we also provide this function through which we can verify the property, whether this property is listed by the verified users or not. And then transfer ownership, you can transfer the property from one address to the another address by using this transfer ownership function. And last function we have is get property count, in which we can get the number of properties we have listed till now in the system. So these are the different functionality we can provide in this real estate ownership system. So let's code all this functionality in Remix IDE with the help of Solidity language. So this is the Remix IDE. You can open this Remix by just writing Remix ID Ethereum on Google and just click on the very first link, right? Now let's go to the Smart Contract Lab folder and create a new file and name it as real estate. Real estate, right? So whenever we start the coding of a Solidity language, so we always start with two important things. First, we always specify the license identifier, and second, the version of the compiler. So let's specify the license identifier, that is XPDX. Next is, sorry, license. Next, identifier. And then we have a colon. And here we are using GPL 3.0 as a identifier. Next, we will specify the compiler version. So for that, we have a keyword pragma. And here, pragma, solidity, and compiler version, we are using new latest one, that is 0.8.24. Next, just create a contract first. So for creating a contract, we have a contract keyword and name this contract as real estate, like this, and just define its scope. So what we do when we design a smart contract, so first step is to declare all the variables called as state variables, all the variables that we declare under inside the contract but outside the function called as state variables. So first we declare all the state variables that we need to provide all these functionalities or different functions, and then we will see that what are the different modifiers we need for the different functions. Like first, for the first one, verify users. For the list properties, only the verified users can list the property. So this is one of the modifier. We need to check whether the user is verified or not. Like this, we will have a different modifiers that add on the condition and constraint on different functions. After the modifiers, we will initialize the few of the variables if there is a need by using the constructor, and then we will work on the function. So this is the structure I usually follow whenever I code in Solidity language. So let's start this part. So first one, so here it is written that you need to design a smart contract with the different property types, right? So here property types can be your residentials, can be your commercial, right? So whenever we need to define certain types, and we can have the categories, one or more categories. So we usually, we always, we have a enum through which we can list the property types, because whenever we have multiple categories, multiple options, out of which you want to select one. So this is the very suitable option through which you can just specify the different categories and the values. So here I'm using this enum and defining the property type like this. And then whenever you specifying the categories, we always use this curly braces. And under this, or each category should be separated by a comma. So first category is your residential, and second one is your commercial. So this is how you can specify different values under one name, that is called as property type. Now, next, because I want to list a property in this system, real estate. So for that, for a single property, we can have the multiple attributes of different types. So whenever we have a situation in which I want to store certain values having different data types like name, for example, you're a student, and if you want to store your details, so you have attributes like your name, your roll number, your address, your contact information, right? So for that, we have a structure, a data type, and in this we can store the multiple values having different data types. For example, one is storing the string type of value, one is storing the integer type of value, and so on. So here as well, we are creating the property structure. And because for a single property, we can have the multiple attributes. So first one is your owner, that who is the owner of that property. And next one is your property type, that we just did it by using this enum. So the data type of this type should be enum, right? And next, after this, so we have a string location, that what is the location of this property. You can just specify the address of it. And then most important is the price. What is the price of that property? And then we will have one more Boolean variable. So Boolean holds only two value, true and false, and it is used for the verification purpose to check whether it is done or not. So we will name it as is verified. That property is verified or not. So whenever we verify the property, so we just need to make this variable as true. And later on, we can also check this variable by checking its value. If it is true, that means that property has already been verified by some other user. Otherwise, it doesn't, right? Next, because we have created it should be struct. Sorry, I just forgot T here. And type is your keyword, I guess, just to make it as type. So it's done now. Now, next is your now I have created the structure, so I need certain variables or variables that holds the different value for the different users. For example, we have one owner having the different commercial property. Location is located in somewhere California, and the price is this, right? So for that, we need to create an object of this structure. So here, instead of creating one object, we can have the multiple users who can list their properties in this system. So that's why I'm creating it as an array. So what is array? Array stores your multiple values of the same data types under one name, and each value and the index of that value starts from 0 um, um, up to the length of the array. For example, if the length of the array is 5, so the index value ranges from 0 to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But your index always starts um from 0, right? So here I'm whenever you create array, so this is the symbol where you can identify that this is an array or not, these square brackets, right? So the data type of this array is property, because we are creating the array of objects for this structure. So the data type, I'm taking it as a structure name here, and this is an array, and just make this variable as public, so that we can check whether the details in the end. So this is how we can declare array. So the name of the array is properties, and what type of these variables hold what type of values, property type of value, and how many values we have a single property. These are the number of attributes, right? And this symbol specify the array, right? So now I want to store the list of the verified users as well. So for that, I'm creating one mapping. And here in mapping, we always store in the form of key value pair. So first is your key is of address type, and then next is your value is of Boolean type. So I just make this mapping as public, and I name it as verified users. So I'm just creating one list, key value pair table kind of, and I'm mapping it with the address with some values. So if the address of a user is XYZ, then we store it as true whether to check if that user is verified or not. And by using that information, we can allow users to list their properties, right? So first function should be your so this is done, that we have declared the different variables and the uh, mapping that we need for the different functions. Let's work on the modifier. So first modifier should be only verified user. So let's keep it, just declare one modifier. So name it as modifier and only verified users. So there are certain function that only be accessible to a verified user. So, so whenever we declare certain conditions, so you have to use the required statement. So verified users, so for verified users, I have created this mapping so that I can check whether that user is verified or not. So verified users. And here I just pass the address as who is executing this function. That is message.sender. If it is true, then this value is true, then you can execute the rest of the function. Otherwise, just display error message that only the verified user can perform this action, like this, right? And we always add a modifier with the underscore symbol because we use the modifier with the function. So this underscore replaces the rest of the statements of the function. Now next, let's just so this is the only modifier we need, I think, for the different functions. So let's move on to the different next step is to define all the functions that I have listed here. So first one is your verify user function. So let's create this function as function verify user, right? And so whenever you are verifying the user, you need the address of that user. So address user, and just make this variable as public so that we can access it. And so to verify a particular user, you have to just you have to use which mapping, this mapping, and just make it as a verified users and message.sender equal to true. Done. So whosoever is accessing this function, so we need to pass the address of that user and just verify the user. Now, let's make this function that if the person who is verifying the user is also the verified one, message.sender equal to underscore user, that only the user can verify themselves. Yes. That means that only the user who is calling this function can verify themselves. No other different address can verify the other user. So that's why I I use this required statement that whosoever is calling this function should be equal to the address that we are keeping under this verify user function, that only the users themselves can verify, not the other users, right? Now next is a function. So next function is list property. So let's work on this function list property. So here, whenever you are listing the property, so we just want to initialize all these variables with some different value and store it, right? So for that, I told you that whenever we have an array, because we will access all this information by using this array called as properties. So whenever you want to insert certain values in an array, so we have a function called push, right? So in this function, we are going to use this push function to store the different data types or different values, parameter values in these variables, right? So first, just take the different arguments from the user. So first argument should be of your property type. That means your enumerator type, the property type you need. And for that, I'm using this uh, local variable name as property type underscore. Now next, the owner address we will specify using message.sender. This is the, and next is your location. So string, then location, and next we have price, in price. Next we have boolean value. So that boolean value at the starting will be false. So I'm not just, so these are the three different informations we need at the time of calling this function, and just make this variable as a function as public, and this function is only be called by the verified users. So that's it. Now what we do, we just refer this properties array and just push all this information under the structure. So what is the name of the structure? Name of the structure is property, right? And here we will pass the different arguments, because we took only the three local variables for initializing the different values like type, location, and price. And rest of the things we will specify by using the global variables. Like first is your global value for message or sender, and is verified is false at the starting. So that's why we will use curly braces to specify that which attribute is taking which value. So let's do like this, that first one is your owner. So owner should be taken as the message or sender and should be separated by comma. Next is your property type. No, next is your type, right? And here we are taking the value as type, separated by comma. And next is your location, right? And this location should be underscore location. Next, we have a price, and this should be price, comma. This should, oh, I missed one comma here. Make sure you are putting this comma at the end of each variable information. Now is verified should be. So this is the last, and just terminate this. So this is how you can store, or you can pass these local variable parameters to the structure by using the arrays or array here, right? And by using this function. So this is done. So this is how we can list the property. Now next function. Next function is to verify a property. So function verify property. So for the verification of the property, we just need to use this Boolean variables and make it as true. and this function should be executed by the verified users only. And here, for specifying that which property we are going to verify, we have to pass property index here, right? So property index. So where you can you will get this property index, because you are storing all properties in an array. And I told you, so whenever you are storing the properties in an array, its index values always starts from 0 up to n-1, where n is the size of an array, right? So first property will store at index 0, second property will store at index 1, and so on. This is how you can specify the index here for the property you are going to verify. Now, next is just make this variable function as public, and only verified users can access this function. Right. So first, whenever you're taking this index value, we need to check whether this index is valid or not. So for checking the validity, because this is the index of an array. So I told you that if an array contains 5 values, then the index value should range from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, should be less than the length and the count of the of an array, right? So similarly, we will use this thing here as well. So property index, if the property index is less than the length of the array, that is properties dot length, then it's fine. Then it's fine. You can execute rest of the function. Otherwise, you just need to display error message that invalid property index, like this. Done. Now, if you want to access a particular property, we always keep, or we always create one variable, so that we can, because your array contains so many listed properties. So all the properties that different users listing in these systems are gonna stored in an array, right? But you want to work on a particular property index value, and you have to remember this index value whenever you are listing your property in the system, right? So for accessing all the attributes of this property index, you have to create one variable, which is of which type, the structure type, right? And we keep this variable as storage, because so that we can permanently store its value under it. Storage, and just make this pro, the name of the variable I'm taking just pro, right? In the short form of property. And then we are just using the properties in properties array, and we just pass this property index. We are just that we are taking from the argument. So this is how you can store this information under the one name called as pro, and we are keeping this variable as storage type, so that it will store its value permanently on the blockchain structure, and it's of which type, the structure type, because we want to store the different attribute values here. Right. Next, now we need to check if this property is already verified by some other users or not, right? Before going to verify it again. So here, we will check the properties index, and for that we have a pro dot is verified, right? If it is true, then it's fine. Otherwise, we will property. So we will keep it as property is already verified, right? So if it is true, that means this is already verified property. So I just make an exclamation mark here. That is, it's false now. If it is false, then we are going to verify it, right? So just make this property as property attribute is verified as true. If it is not verified by some, is equal to true, right? So, and so this is how you can verify a property that you have already listed on in an array. So this is done, I guess. So this is we want to do. So it should not be property. Here should be the pro, because this is the variable name we took here. It should be true, right? Next is to next function. So let's work on the next function, transfer ownership. So just create this function transfer ownership. And here you just need to pass the index value of the property index, and then you also need the address of the new owners, address of the new owner, right? And this only be executed by only verified users, like this. So this is how we can transfer the property. So before transferring the property, we just need to check whether the property index is true or it's correct or not, right? And then we will create again the pro variable for that property, for storing that property information. And then we can use the different attributes to transfer your. So these are the two things we need here as well. So I'm just copying these two lines here. So the property index should be less than the invalid property index, and the property storage, it's storing one value. It's done. Now we also check that whenever you are transferring the ownership, that it should be verified. The property should be verified first. So here I just need this information as well. If this property is verified, then it's true. Otherwise, you have to display error message that property must be verified before transferring ownership. Before transfership, right? So this is how we can check this. If it is true, then that property is already verified by some other user, and otherwise we have to display error message that property must be verified. Now, so whenever you're transferring the ownership, that ownership should be transferred by only the owner. So I just need to check this information. The user who is executing this function, his address should be equal to pro.owner, right? Only the owner can make this transfer, and otherwise we need to display the error message that only the owner can transfer ownership, like this. Yes, done till now. Now, if you want to transfer the ownership, you just need to update this information. Which information? That pro.owner should be equal to the new owner. That's all. So this is how we can transfer the ownership by using this function. Now we have a last function, that is get property count, and you already know how we can get the property count, because we are storing all the property under one array, and that name is as property. So the property count should be equal to the length of that array. So you just need to use the function get property count, and because we are just we will in this function we just access the information, not doing any updation, so it should be of return view type, and returns what unit. So here return what we are properties dot length. So this is how this is a very simple one. Yes, that's all. Invalid, let me check. xpdx here, I don't know what's the difference, but let me just copy this statement too. It's fine now, I guess. So let's compile this function. That's all. So we have declared all the functions. We have defined all the functions. And we have one function where we can verify the users. Then we have here we have one problem that it should be memory. Yes, whenever you are using the string variable, you have to use this memory so that it is stored this information locally in this, because in string there is no fixed data type, uh, fixed uh, fixed allocation in the memory, that how much bytes it needs for storing this information. So that's why we use this memory. So let's compile this first. So it's compiled and very nice. And let's deploy it. It is deployed here. So here you can see. And here first we need to verify user, because only the verify user can list the property and use rest of the function. So I'm checking this get property. So here we have 0 property in the starting. So for verifying a user, you have to use this, copy this function address and just paste it here. Sorry. So the our user is verified now, and you can check whether that user is verified or not by using that this is a true value. We have stored the true value. Now next, I want to list some properties. So first, whenever you're listing a property, the first is your property type, enum type. And whenever I told you, so in enumeration, all the categories will be will get stored from the index starting from 0. So residential value is storing at 0 a number, and commercial is storing at 1 number. So that's why whenever you are supplying this value, so you have to supply or they give the index value. So here index value is 1, that is 0 is for residential, and here I'm passing the location as Mountain View, and next is your price, and here the price is $100. Right, so I've just list the property. So I have listed that property. We have a true transaction here, and then I want to verify that property by using this verify property function. So here I just need to pass the property index. Now you just check, we have one property here. So you just need to pass the property index. And I told you, whenever you are storing the information in an array, so the index always starts from 0. So the index of that property is 0 now. So just verify it. It's verified now. Now, if you want to check that how many properties you have, just supply your index value, and you can see the address, owner address is this, type is 0, that means residential, location is this, and so on. So, and here you can use this transfer ownership function for transferring the value. So property index is this, and address of the new your owner, you can take it from here, just copy from here, and make sure you are executing this function from the real owner. And then I'm just transferring it by just paste this and transfer ownership. So I have transferred this function. Now let's check. I have changed the owner now. This is the second one, 0AX. So that's all from my side. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.